The Alleyman Podcast, Episode 7, Back to the Start.
Welcome to Modern Mythologies. I am Dr. Ala Okoye, religious studies professor and cultural anthropologist, and author of Untold Streets, which is now in its second edition with Silvered Street Books. On this podcast, we explore modern folklore in the urban environment. These last few weeks, we have been focused solely on one myth, the Alleyman myth. Today, I am joined by someone I think we all can appreciate. Kaylee, the woman who runs SourFlowersinMay. Kaylee's video, which has since gone offline, was the video that started our interrogation of this myth on this podcast. Thank you for being here with us today.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Now, imagine my surprise when I saw your email last night. I had just gotten off the recording session with Fred for his show, and I saw your name. And I admit, I double-checked your email to make sure you were the real you.
Yeah, I was surprised myself when I reached out.
I'm glad you did. Now, I haven't seen that you've gone into this topic much at all, your Alleyman video, so I have to ask.
Why I'm here? Yeah, I can't get away from it, you know? People keep asking, so here we are.
First, before we get into discussing this, the myth, your video, and... could you just remind my listeners of your experience, your story?
Sure. Yeah. I'm a content creator, so I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, just like, all the big places.
And what kind of content do you produce?
I mean, just, the normal stuff. So, I do, live videos and talk to my followers. I do some brand deals, talk about my life, about clothes I just bought, new stores I really like, my day, just normal content.
So you do reviews?
Sometimes, but that's not, I just like a general social media presence.
Okay.
So I was doing an Instagram live video on the street, walking down Wabash in downtown Chicago, and you've seen the video.
Yes, but from your own perspective, if you would.
Sure. I was walking along and just talking to my followers and people in the live and stuff, reading their comments, and then, I don't know, this man in an alley just yelled out to me. You can't hear it in the video, but, you can see him, and he was trying to get my attention, and that's not really, that's not unique. That's just city life. And I usually ignore them, like homeless people on the street and stuff. I don't carry cash and whatever, but he wouldn't leave me alone, and I didn't want... This is going to sound really shallow, but, I didn't want my followers to think I was rude. So, I humored him. I'm a woman, right? So I don't normally just talk to guys who talk to me. I was alone, so it didn't feel that smart, but, I was on the live, and I kind of figured,
What?
Well, if I got disappeared or something, then there would be a record. So he wouldn't,
Okay. You thought he was going to kidnap you.
Well, I mean, I was literally walking into an alley alone as a woman. It's I was worried he was going to kidnap me.
Okay, my apologies, of course. Please, continue.
So I went in, and it was just a few feet into the alley, and it was the day, so I didn't feel I don't know, I should have been more careful, but I went in, and I thought it might make interesting content, so I humored him, and he offers me the tarot reading.
But not at first, right?
No, you're right. He asked me Sorry, it's been a minute. I intentionally try not to think about this. So he asked me for 17 cents to perform a trick for me, so, like, I fished in my pocket, and I found it, even though there was no conceivable reason to have change, but I had it, so he dealt out a tarot reading for me. I mean, you listed off the cards in the podcast, but the only one I remember was the last one, which, it wasn't even a card.
Yes, it was a receipt.
Yeah, it was a receipt. It was my father's receipt from the day he died. So he went to this cafe on the corner almost every morning, and we used to go together when I was younger. It was his receipt with his normal order on it, and I was surprised about it. And the alleyman said that the cafe was about to close, so I ran down the street to get the normal muffin. I got there, and my dad's coffee and coffee cake that he normally ordered, and I was there, and I realized the receipt was literally his, and that's basically the story.
And for many people, it was the starting story of the Alleyman myth. I found many stories from before this, but there haven't been any stories like this as exciting for people following the myth as yours. I think partially it's because it was a video, not just a text post on an online board or something. It made it that much more compelling. Now, I think I have an idea, but can you talk about how you feel about the video being the core of this myth for many people?
Like, do I hate it? No. How can I? I got so many followers from this weird thing. It went viral. It got onto people's podcasts. Apparently, every time you mention me in your podcast, I get new followers. Like, I've literally been keeping track, but I also get harassment. I also get memes people are making at my expense. I have people calling me a liar for this story when I'm like, I don't even talk about it. When people ask me on my lives, I don't even acknowledge the question. Like, I'll be on TikTok live and people will ask there. It's everywhere. And I don't talk about it. I don't milk it for more than it's already done for me, but people are still obsessed. Like, was it weird? Yes. Was it kind of sad? Yes. Did it make me bawl my fucking eyes out? Absolutely. I sobbed for entire parts of the video that you didn't play, that you skipped over in your episode on it. Thanks for that. I filed a takedown request on the YouTube video. That's why it's gone now. It's still out there, though. I mean, I've seen it in other places. People keep clipping it to ask me questions and like to show me this gif of me ugly as hell sobbing, and like, I don't know, people forget or don't care that my dad literally died. Like, that's why it hit so hard. That's why it felt so big and it was so huge for me. That's why people are so grossly excited. Like I'm a spectacle for them or something.
Isn't that sort of what you want, though? To be a spectacle? Is that not... Look, I am not trying to be rude or dismissive, but isn't that the goal of content creation? To get hits?
No. Honestly, not at all. My Instagram, my TikTok, especially now, is my branding. It's how I make a living at this point. And like, it's not, I'm not fake with it. I mean, I play some things up for the camera, obviously, but so do you. Like, oh God, your intro was so clean and clear and practiced, and like, you say it every episode. But when I'm off screen, I'm just a chick in the city trying to get a fucking iced coffee without being offered a goddamn tarot reading.
People offer you tarot readings? Just out of the blue? Unasked for tarot readings?
Constantly. Well, I mean, not constantly. It's like, once a week. And, women get way more than unasked for tarot readings. I'll just be out there and some will think it's funny if they recognize me. And, it's Chicago. People know where I live vaguely by neighborhood, and people have, like, dissected my exact walking path from that video, and they just, I don't know, lie in wait. Or they're waiting to meet the alleyman themselves, and then there I am, the girl from the video. Let's ask her about her dead dad some more.
I am so sorry to hear this. I asked for your thoughts on the first episode when I was working on it, and at the time you turned me down. Were you already receiving...
Yes.
Already? Before I even began talking about the Alleyman?
Yes. Because, I mean, before you picked it up and it became a buzzword in every single one of your episodes, Sour Flowers was getting passed around on online message boards and just, around viral stuff. People were sharing my story on TikTok with, dramatic edits and filters so they could get their own 3 minutes with my footage. And on YouTube, it's just around. And I thought honestly about launching a new page, a new brand, but it was still kind of nice for my following. And then when it connected with this mythology angle, it boomed again. It was viral and then it went viral again, but to weirder people this time.
Oh, weirder people?
Yeah, the people into this part of it are well, it was one thing when it was strange happenstance, but the people who have latched onto my account now they say weird things. They come in with rhymes and their own little stories, or asking me how to summon him. You know what I'm talking about. I went back through your episodes on this before I came on today to figure out what this is about, why you or anybody cares, and it. I don't know, people are just making up weird stories or mimicking mine. It's just weird.
Okay, well, you accidentally came across something that struck a chord with my listeners, and indeed others who enjoy urban folklore. Urban mythology, it's not weird so much as it is certainly fringe culture, I suppose.
You accused me in your episode of my video of having produced it. I mean, I don't know, you picked it apart. You saw little details that made you think it was edited and manipulated. It was you do that to books, to movies. You're not real living people.
I see. Well, there were some irregularities in the audio, and the circumstances were so...
Yeah, they were weird. They were impossible. What, this totally random homeless man grabbed my attention and handed me my father's receipt on the last day I could go to that cafe. I know it didn't close for good, but it's like you said, it was the last time I could go get that specific muffin. But that's all there was to it. It was strange. It was serendipity, but it wasn't fucking manufactured. It was just a strange and emotional day for me. It wasn't a play. It wasn't a film or an episode of TV. You don't need to break it down and analyze it for, fucking CSI. It isn't that deep.
Well, it doesn't seem fantastical to you? Perhaps even supernatural?
What, that some homeless dude had some old trash that happened to work for me?
Well, yes. He didn't just give you a piece of trash. He specifically knew what it was about, what cafe it was for, who you were. And your experience is not alone. There are dozens and dozens of other stories I've received or found that match your experience. That doesn't at least sit with you a little strangely?
I mean, what if it does?
Well,
I think you explained it in your episode. Either it was just total serendipity and chance, or maybe it was a stalker with good intentions. And I don't really like either one. Neither sits with me in a pleasant or positive way. I've had stalkers before. I don't really like the idea that this was that.
But you don't think of it as a supernatural story at all then?
No. What? My dad's a ghost visiting me, standing at the foot of my bed in the night telling me things are going to be all right, that grief will pass and that I'll find love and have a happy ending. That would be a supernatural story, right? One that I could swear up and down in front of friends and family or just to my followers, but this was just, I don't know, it was just some fucking guy. Maybe he set it up, but I didn't, and I didn't consent to being part of some weird trauma theater. That's all it's felt like.
So, the story really is true. You didn't make any of it up.
Is that really your takeaway?
Well, no, I just... Speaking to various people in the past, they get into their own fiction. You don't even want to hear about it. And not for the reasons that people would if they had made it up. It was just an observation that you really don't care about it. You want it to go away.
I really do.
But we do not control fiction. And even if the happenstance, what happened, if that was real, what you are facing now is you are facing the living myth of the Alleyman. It is far beyond our control, the both of us.
That's honestly kind of what pisses me off. You and a few other people, this Fred Penland guy only picked this up when my video caught on for its second viral run. I mean, if you want to put it this way, I basically made the Alleyman. I named him in the video, Alley Guy. And I made this myth, and now I'm saying I don't care about it, and I wish it would die, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't.
Well, that's the nature of folklore, of mythology. It's...
No, that's the nature of social media. You put up a video where you say something wrong, and everyone's on you to cancel you, and even if you take it down, like I took the Alleyman video down, you can't stop it. It just carries on. People get excited and animated and turned on by this thing, and even when you take it back, it doesn't matter because, it's out there. And everyone has an opinion on it, and everyone adds their 2 cents in videos and tweets, and you become a dissertation. You become the main character of the internet for a moment, and people forget anything about you but what they want to talk about.
Exactly. Now, this is much of what my book is about. The virality of story, which what you're seeing is it's transferred to a digital context with social media, but it already existed in human culture. Gossip is much the same, and it's how stories are shared, warped, and, kept alive.
Well, it sucks. I mean, it's not how I want to be remembered or talked about. I get that, to some extent, once something is done, it's out there. It's like, I don't know, death of the author, right? What you wanted to start with isn't what people want to talk about. They have their own takes, and your intentions are pretty much just dead when you hit send or publish.
Yes, I suppose that's true.
And you were talking about this in your last episode with that, guy on his show yesterday, too.
Oh, you listened to it?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to all your Alleyman ones before I came on. I wanted to know what you were talking about, and I guess, I don't know, it really reinforced that I want nothing to do with this after this episode. But your last episode, you were asking, who controls stories?
Yes, who has the right to determine what is true or canon?
Right, who gets to tell stories and who gets to be the gatekeeper over what stories are real. And, I mean, that's why I said earlier that you picked apart my story, because you did. You did.
Well,
You did, and I wanted to point that out, that you, like all these other people who saw my story, you get to decide for yourself if it's true, I guess. I mean, it is true, but I guess because it's online, it's subject to, I don't know, scrutiny and judgment and guessing. So, you did that, and then you used your platform to talk about it, but to question it and to call into question my own intentions.
Well, of course, I think that's fair, though, isn't it? Circumstances aside, it was rather surprising.
Well, but you said, hang on, I wrote this down. You were wondering if I was using my father's death for an elaborate skit. That's what I'm talking about. And what if I was just a big liar? What if it had been theater? Who would that have hurt? Why do people care?
Well, because the story the experience you had, it touched on something that is speculative. It invites questions.
Okay, well, that's fine, but my dad's death wasn't a joke or a skit. It was my reality. It still is my reality, and me meeting this strange man in an alley was reality. And I don't know, maybe it's weird, and if it supports your conspiracy theories, that's fine, but that's on you, so I'm just... No, I'm not done. I'm actually not done. I just wanted to say for you and, your listeners and just everyone, people's lives and stories are true, even when they're weird. And, sometimes, even when they're not true. I've been thinking about this all day, so I'm kind of nervous about this. I'm sorry. You know, and kind of angry. You know, actually, yeah, I'm kind of really angry. But I keep thinking about, like, you know, if I post a picture on Instagram and it's like me all put together with makeup first thing in the morning, I'm like, I just woke up. It's, you know, I'm so cute and always put together, but this is me and my messiness right now. And it's still true. Like, that's still true about the myth of me, right? I really do get up at 5 in the morning and I get my routine done so I can go live and post a picture and share my breakfast plate and whatever. It's theater to some extent, but it's also true. There's implied, you know, like, people aren't dumb. They know I did my makeup, so I spent time getting ready, but it's still my morning, and we still do this with stories all the time. We embellish to keep people interested and engaged, and even if it's not for a follower account, it's for our audience. You have an audience on here. You have students at your job. You do and say things to keep them interested and engaged, and your thought put into making that case, into entering your persona, and the stories and anecdotes that you share, even if they're partially fake or made up, they're still real. They're still real. You're telling them. That makes them real.
Wow.
And I just think that even when people do weird shit and give you weird stories, they're still telling their truth. And I don't know, I hate that people were already taking it apart and questioning it and calling me a liar everywhere, and then it started to die out, and then your podcast did it all over again. And you weren't really all that, like, I don't know, you were pretty unfairly critical of my video.
I see. I'm sorry for any difficulty this caused you.
Thank you.
I feel you just delved into ideas of sharing myth and...
I didn't mean to.
No, I think it was very well put. I have been wondering about those things, you know, who gets to tell a story and who gets to question the stories, who gets to judge what is true and what is false.
You think that's you?
I don't rightly know.
Well, you used to, right? I mean, you used to think it was you.
Well, I suppose you're right.
I mean, I think if you want to take it seriously, then you should talk to one of your alley guys.
How is that?
You said in one of your episodes that there were alleymen reaching out to you. You should just, I don't know, talk to one of them. Get to the bottom of, like, what people want out of this. Why do people want to hear more about him or be him, apparently? Like, just, I don't know, listen to the people who want to be in it so bad.
Fair point. Maybe I should. Well, I think this has been illuminating.
Wait, hang on. Sorry, like, before you wrap up.
Oh, please.
I guess I don't know. I want people to understand that I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that SourFlowersinMay is a no Alleyman zone. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to go on any other podcasts or people's YouTube channels or their documentaries.
They're documentaries.
Yeah, documentaries. I don't want to hear about it or think about it. I don't want more comments about it. Like, you have Dr. Okoye here, who is hype about this Alleyman stuff. Ask him questions, share your stories with him or the other people out there, but I'm off limits, okay? The second you finish this episode.
Okay, I think that's reasonable.
And that goes for you as well. Okay, I don't want to be talked about anymore. I don't want to be mentioned in the podcast. The Sour Flowers video is dead. I killed it. And we can all just move on.
Okay, I think, yes, I will move on from your story. I apologize.
And Rain's story too, okay? The barista. Like, they literally had to go private on one account, and then they deleted their other accounts because people were, like, misgendering and dead naming and just being awful to them, like, harassing them the same way people harassed me. I'm fucking over it.
Do you know Rain?
Oh, yeah, I reached out because, like, I don't know, I thought they were clout chasing. And I didn't, with my dad, like, I had to know if they were serious because it was personal. And I, like, talked to them, and we talk sometimes, but yeah, like, I know them now, and I think people should leave them out of this shit, too.
I suppose it would be the wrong place to ask you now, then, if I
believe Rain? Or, like, yeah, I think this would be the wrong time to do that.
Yes, I suppose. suppose. Well, I was going to ask if you wanted to stay on to discuss one of the stories, but
I don't know. I could do that.
Oh, really? After all that? After the death of the Sourflower's Alleyman relation? You want to?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, for people who were taking part in this intentionally, for the stories that are being sent to you that are theirs to tell, I can see elements of why it would be compelling. I guess what I don't like is that I didn't present my experience as a story for people to question or judge. It was just sharing a normal day of my life, and something strange happened. Like, I didn't consent to my life experience becoming some other people's exciting fictional stories.
I can understand that. Hang on. Let's take a moment to... Okay, my guest Kaylee and I have each chosen a story to share today to round out the episode.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
And I would like to... I will share the story of my choice first, so Kaylee can finish the episode.
I would love to.
Wonderful. Then I will begin. This story was shared to me by email from someone who wanted to remain anonymous. They called themselves Mark for the story. Mark is an older man, in his 90s, who still goes on midnight bike rides through his neighborhood. He lives in a small town in Iowa. Mark immigrated from Denmark when he was just 16, and he says he's lived this long by sticking to his routines. Now, he said that lately his tranquil bike rides have been upset by people blasting music in their cars, even at midnight. So he began listening to podcasts to give him a new sense of place in his mind during his rides. That's how he happened upon my show. And I want to say, Mark, whatever your real name, thank you for listening.
And stop riding your bike at 90. Oh my God, what if you fall off at midnight? Who's going to be able to help you?
Yes, possibly. He said that he had an encounter much like these I've been discussing when he was much younger. In the 50s, though he can't recall the exact year, he had just gotten married to his wife and they'd just bought their home. He was out one evening for his midnight bike ride when he saw a young girl dragging a little red cart. Being so late, Mark stopped to ask the girl if she needed help getting home. He didn't think a young girl should be out so late on her own.
No. I've seen horror movies. Was the kid creepy?
What?
Never mind. Sorry, keep going.
Okay, so Mark offered his help, and the girl said no. She was getting home just fine, but she seemed really down and sad, so he asked what was wrong. She said that she had a lemonade stand down the road and it hardly made any money. Mark felt bad, so he reached into his pockets for change, and he found 3 quarters. He apologized that it wasn't much, but she accepted it readily. And that was when he realized the jug and cups in the cart, and the girl began to get him lemonade. He said it was a bit too late for that tonight, but thank you. The girl stopped while going for the drink for him, and at first he wasn't sure if she'd heard him. Then she turned around. She no longer seemed sad, but looked more distant, more thoughtful.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Then she recited some kind of verse. At first he thought she was reciting a child's rhyme, but it continued on until well past the moment where he should have politely said he needed to leave. He stayed for some time listening to this epic poem before taking real note of the characters' names. Now, the next day he went to the library and found out she had recited a fair bit of the Odyssey, a book he had never learned but now has read a few times.
Okay, maybe that's less creepy, but that's weird. Like, hold on, when was the first English translation? Because, oh, never mind, it was 1616. 1950's fine.
You thought you were going to find a historical discrepancy in the story.
Well, like, okay, yeah, I can see how you might get into the speculation part, but more I was just thinking, a little girl, what, like 10 years old, remembering the entire Odyssey? Like, all I know about the Odyssey is from the Song of Achilles.
That's not...
Oh, wait, that's the other one. Sorry.
Yes, the Iliad, yes.
Oh, okay, cut that part.
Absolutely not.
No. I mean, but still, it's just like, I can see where you're attaching the Alleyman thing to your story, because I've seen how your idea of the story has evolved over your episodes. But
it's a strange one, isn't it? A child. I think it's a quietly compelling story in its own right, as far as urban legends and folktales go. Now, you did not tell me the story you selected, but...
Yeah, okay. All right, so I picked one of the stories that's up on your comments. I scanned a few, but this is the one that really stood out to me. So it's about a group of teens, right, who were out chasing after the Alleyman.
Oh, I think...
So they learned a few methods that were supposed to summon him, like a nursery rhyme that they read online. There's a ritual involving chicken bones and kind of an elaborate method involving rolling coins down an alley until they landed on each other. So they tried each method in turn. The nursery rhyme was hard to get done without laughing, but once they got through it a full time without stopping, in perfect unison, they decided that one was bunk. The second one was supposed to involve a live sacrifice, but all they had were leftover chicken bones from some food. The ritual probably failed because, kids didn't want to kill a chicken. So they tried for almost a half hour to roll the coins down an alley, trying to get them to land on top of each other before they gave up. Like, they'd seen the trick shot people on TikTok, and they knew that it could take days, right? But just when they gave up, turning to go home as the night was growing long, a man walked out of the empty alley as if he'd come out of the shadows themselves. And in his hand was their 17 cents. And in his other hand was a deck of cards. These are like new, shiny plastic cards, fresh from the pack. And he asked them what they wanted to know, and none of them had a question. They just wanted to see him to know if he was real or not.
Yeah? And then?
That's it. I mean, it's not a story you read, is it?
No, it actually seemed a bit spare.
Oh, maybe you should. I think it's all you're looking for yourself,
Food for thought. Well, I think that was our time for the episode.
Well, thank you for having me on, Dr. Okoye. And remember,
SourFlowersinMay is removed from my brain for the rest of time.
I mean, you could just follow me on Instagram if you miss me that much.
Oh, my Instagram account is...
super inactive. No worries, it was a joke.
Oh, thank you for giving us, really, your time on this. I think next time I will be speaking with one of the supposed Alleymen.
Yes, listen to me, I am often right.
So, continue to send me your stories and experiences and questions for the Alleyman, I suppose. And as always, my mythologians, thank you for listening.
The Alleyman Podcast is a podcast produced, written, and directed by Seven Dane Asmund of Publishing Goblin LLC and licensed on a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike International License. The Alleyman character was created by Seven Dane Asmund and is based on the character created by them for the Alleyman's Tarot.
I'm John Dingo, and I produced the intro and bed music.
Outro music produced by Seven Dane Asmund.
I am Uduak Inyang, and I play Dr. Okoye.
I'm Kat Veldt, and I play Kaylee Sourflowers.
The podcasts Modern Mythologies and Urban Folklore are fake podcasts produced for the purposes of this show, as are their hosts and characters. Any relation to people, real or imaginary, is a coincidence. The Urban Folk Reddit and Dr. Okoye's email, profokoye@modernmyth.live, are real and available for you to use to reach out to the character. I will read comments and emails each week for the next episode. Please like, review, and share episodes wherever you find them, and consider donating to support this and future projects at the Publishing Goblin Patreon, or follow us on all social media, all of which can be found at publishinggoblin.com. Thanks for listening.